Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rebecca Saunders Show. Today I have a very special guest for you, the wonderful Crista Grasso. I met Crista on Necker Island and we hit it off straight away over coffee and overlooking the pool every morning whilst we were on the island. She is the go-to strategic planning expert for online entrepreneurs when they want to scale their business simply and sustainably. She's known as the business optimiser, and she helps businesses gain clarity on the most important things to focus on and what to lean out and eliminate for greater alignment. She's also the creator of the Lean Out Method, that amazing 90-day Lean Out planner, and she's the host of her very own podcast. I am so excited because we are going to geek out on systems today. Welcome to the show, Crista.
Thank you so much for having me. A, it is amazing to see you again, and B, I'm so excited to be here.
It's going to be a fun chat, and you're right, we are now the other side of the world to each other, and Necker Island seems so far away. But it was so wonderful to get to know you, and when you showed me, I think your 90-day planner, when we were sat around the pool, I was like, she's my kind of chick. Like, we've got systems here. Like, I'm loving this. And so for give me a bit of background about how you got into the work that you're doing now in terms of systemizing and eliminating stress and pain from busy business owners.
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally went to college for art, and I knew I wanted to have my own business, and I thought I might do a photography or a jewelry business or something creative.
You do a business just on the side.
Which I do have a jewelry business now, but it took me a while to launch that. And so I ended up eventually getting a business degree, thinking if I'm going to run my own business, I should learn a little bit about business. Graduated school with all of these lovely college loans, as happens in the US. Yep. And so I decided I was going to work for a couple of years to pay that down while I figured out what type of creative business I wanted to launch. And what ended up being kind of a happy accident was I got an offer for this role, and they needed me to start right away. And they said, can you come in tomorrow? The only way to make this happen is for you to come in as a consultant. I had no idea what consulting was. I said, sure, sounds great. I just got a job. Yes. So I took the role, and I ended up falling into a company that was very big in systems and very big in lean and project management and so many things that I never would have thought that I would have loved. But I got in there and realized that not only did I love it, I just was naturally really, really good at it. And I had that ability to really quickly look and see where systems either weren't working and were falling apart, where systems could be created, and where people could save themselves a ton of time, a ton of money, and get much better results faster. And so what started off as what I thought just this couple-year gig to pay down some college debt ended up changing the whole trajectory of what I do in my life. And I have two businesses now. I have my creative jewelry business, but I also do lean business consulting through my Lean Out Method company, and I help people with strategy, planning, systems, and team.
I love that. I love that it's a happy accident. It's one of those things that I know so many entrepreneurs just fall into the work that they're doing. I myself, actually, and now I've just said that, I don't do any of the big camera work in my video production company, right? It was something that I went, that's going to help me get my citizenship in Australia. Like, let's do that. And now 10 years later, I'm still doing it. It's that doing it and loving it. So happy accidents are one of my favorites. Now, you obviously worked with a big organization then, right? Like big, lots of systems, lots of communication pathways, I'm sure. In terms of taking what you've got there and putting it into small business mode, that's got to be no easy feat, right? Small business owners work in a very different way. Like, were there any hiccups along the way of you taking that big corporate thinking and putting it into smaller businesses, or was it more smooth sailing for you?
So there was a big disconnect for me at first, where I started my jewelry business, and I ended up getting to the place where I almost put myself out of business. I had accumulated so much debt and so much inventory, and I was working around the clock. I was on the verge of burnout. I had all of these things going kind of wrong in those early growing pains of a first business, like many of us unfortunately experience. Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm getting these fantastic results for all of these companies that I'm consulting with. And I had this epiphany moment where I realized, why am I not applying in my own business what I'm doing for all of these big businesses? But I didn't see the connection. To me, this is this big corporation I'm consulting with. I've got this tiny little jewelry business. I wasn't seeing how they connected. And it was that epiphany and that kind of need to save my business or close it that made me say, wait a minute, there's got to be something here that I could leverage. So I ended up taking a lot of those concepts and saying, all right, the principles are solid. Every business uses them. So they're solid principles. How do I make these work for my small product-based business? And I did, and it worked really well. And over time, I started helping more and more businesses. And today I actually work primarily with service-based coaching and consulting businesses. But it took just a little bit of evolution and maneuvering to kind of get it that way, but the principles were the same. And once I made that realization, it actually wasn't very hard to right size it for our type of business. It just took more of the epiphany and realization that I wasn't leveraging it.
I love that. And again, you've taken it from a product business and still maneuvered it again into service-based businesses now. So it's obviously really working. And I know for me, I love systems. I love color coding spreadsheets. I love using Monday.com because it sparks confetti at me when I do a good job, you know, all that kind of fun gamification stuff. But it's taken me a long time to get those systems into place. And even then, right, as the business grows, you can still get heaps and heaps of overwhelm in terms of, am I doing this right? Have I documented that correctly? You know, I think a lot of people can go, oh, a system, I'll just implement that. It's done, you know, and it doesn't work just that way, does it? Like in terms of if you've got no systems at all and you're listening to this going, okay, well, systems sounds great, but where do I start? You know, what are the things that you see people doing wrong when it comes to putting their systems in place?
Oh, there's so many. Just 2 days ago, I actually have been working with this great women's organization and helping them implement. I have a specific system that I help companies with that I call lean strategic planning. And so we implement it in Monday, of course, because I'm a huge Monday fan as well. And I was training them on how to use it in Monday, how to use the system, what to do with like meeting cadence, as well as the tools and the communication that surrounds it. And what I shared with them is the same thing I'll share with your listeners is when you first put a system in place, it is going to feel like it's taking you twice as long. It's going to be painful. It's going to be frustrating. You're going to naturally fight against it. But if you can just keep going past that initial week, that initial month, all of a sudden, you are going to have that aha moment. Like, how did I ever live without this? And all of a sudden, it saves you a ton of time. It gains you a bunch of momentum. It gives you a lot of that freedom and flexibility in your business that you probably avoided putting the system in place for because you thought it would take away, when it actually does give it to you if you keep using it for long enough. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people put something in place, and when they get to the initial challenge around trying to figure out how to use it and how to adopt it, especially if it's something like implementing Monday or implementing a big tool, they don't keep going long enough to get to the benefit. And so they abandon a lot of the work that they did. Or on the flip side, what I see is people approach systems as a project. So they will stop all other work. They will stop trying to bring in new leads and everything else. And they'll put everyone's effort on doing these like really micro systems, creating all of their SOPs and all of their documentation, thinking that it's going to give them these great results. But that's not the type of systems you usually want to start with. And when you do that, you end up just creating this big like digital document that usually doesn't end up getting used, and it collects digital dust, and then you end up feeling like it was a waste of time and like systems aren't working for you.
Yeah, you've definitely pulled on some heartstrings there for me. Like I remember my first Google site being like, this is amazing, everyone's going to use it. No, it's just a digital document creating dust, collecting dust. And now, different story, right? We've done it as a team and we've done it in flow and we've documented as we go. And I can completely attest to the fact that it does feel like it's taking you twice as long, sometimes 5 times as long, right? Like for me, putting those things, putting a list together of all the things I was doing as a business owner and going, okay, what can I give a VA? And then actually trying to get out of my head what I do to give someone the task to move that forward without me was painful, like painful as in it's just faster for me to do it myself. I could just keep going by myself. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that, am I? At all.
No.
So you mentioned that, that's not the best place to start in creating all of this stuff. Where is the best place to start? Like, I mean, I couldn't even tell you where I started when it started working for me. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that either. So if you haven't got any systems in place at all, where's the beginning point? Where's the first step?
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's two different ways that you can approach systems. There's what I call your more strategic systems, your macro systems, and then there's your more micro systems. And that's where you're getting into like documenting your step-by-step and your SOPs, and here's what I do and how I do it and what tools I use to do it in, right? And I think you need a combination of both, but unless you're about to hire somebody tomorrow that you're ready to hand off that detail to, you start with the strategic systems. And I'll give you an example of a really powerful and meaningful strategic system in your business. If you think about whatever it is that you sell, whatever your core offer is, a strategic system that you would put in place is your marketing and sales funnel overview for that particular offer. So how do you generate leads? What do you do for consideration for somebody to decide if they want to join? Is it a launch event that you do? Or what do you do for conversion? How do you actually onboard people? If somebody says yes to your offer, what does that look like? And then how do you nurture them, keep them actively engaged, and give them the opportunity to up-level and retain as a client or to become an advocate for your brand, right? All really important stuff, but you would want to start with visually documenting what it looks like. And when I say visually, I mean, think of if you took a whole bunch of sticky notes, or if you got on a whiteboard and mapped it out. So this isn't a detailed document per se, it's a visual representation of what you do. And so you start there in your business, and that's just one small example. You want to think of what are all of the critical ways that you deliver value to either your customers or to your business itself. And you want to document those. Those are your strategic systems. And it's honestly kind of fun to document.
I reckon, yeah. Well,
yeah.
I've got so many Post-it notes for those watching the video, like the colors I'm holding up right now. I've got all of them for that exact reason.
From there, that's where you start to look at your more micro systems and where you start to actually develop SOPs. You want to look at those and say, what am I going to hand off? I'm about to hire this particular role. When I look at this macro system, this strategic system, what would make sense? What's the most valuable thing that I could document right now to be able to have somebody come in and help me with this? Or where are we getting fantastic results today that we want to make sure we're able to keep repeating? That's what you do. And something that I usually tell people is document as you go, don't document as a project. So the next time you're about to do something, screen record it, jot down some notes. It'll take you a little bit longer to do it, but it's a lot different than carving out 2 weeks of your life to just sit behind your computer and write a whole bunch of stuff down and grab screenshots.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because the screen recording piece as you go, yeah, that's a absolute foolproof way of hacking that together, right? In terms of putting together a basic system. Love that. So you've got the systems there, and I think what you said really is a nugget of gold in terms of, I feel that sometimes you look at things and go, oh, it needs a manual. Oh, I need to write like a really long list, and it doesn't necessarily have to look a certain way to be a manageable system in your business. Now, I've got 2 questions that are percolating in my head, and I don't know which one to go to first. Business-wise for you, what is your number one system in your business that just gives you back the most time? Like the number one thing that you've systemized to a T and you're like, yeah, nailed that. That's really helping me leverage the business, take away the stress. I'm not wasting energy here anymore, and it's bringing me in money.
Yeah, that one's easy. It's my lean strategic planning system. It's literally what I've been doing for 22 years. And the first thing that I implemented in my business that I still do today, almost 17 years later, and what I help my clients do. But it ticks and ties everything. So I'm always confident, and my team is always confident that we're working on the right things that are going to get us to our vision as quickly and as most, streamlined way possible, without letting all of the noise, distractions, and entrepreneurial idea generation get in the way of actually doing what we need to do.
Yeah, you're right. The idea generation, like, oh, bright shiny thing, I'm going to go over there. Like, no, stick to the plan, stick to the plan. And then in your personal life, Crista, do you systemize it as much as you do your business, in terms of, I've got the Monday boards for personal projects and all of that fun stuff? Like, do the systems encroach into personal life?
Oh, do they ever? When I got married, which is a long time ago now, but at the time of this recording, we're just about to celebrate our 16th anniversary next week.
Congratulations.
But I quite literally developed like a 300 line item plan for our wedding to make sure that absolutely everything was done. And now, in my defense, we did actually build an entire wedding site in our backyard from scratch.
Yep.
But that being said, I had the whole systems in place and still do the same. And as much as I am a systems person, my husband is actually more of a systems person. So between the two of us, pretty much everything is systematized.
I can just visualize your garage of like all the tools and the screws and everything in nicely labeled jars. Am I correct in thinking that's how your garage is laid out?
Oh yeah, there's a lean concept called 5S, which basically breaks down to everything has a place and everything in its place. And that's kind of our life.
Love that. Oh my gosh, you need to give me those hacks off the record, right? Because we're about to move into a new house myself, and I'm thinking, oh no, Alex and I have very, very different ways of managing stuff, and I'm a systems person, and I think he's got systems in his own way. We're just not aligned for them to look pretty and be on display at the same time, which, as for a creative person, is a huge thing, right? It's about having it so that it looks visually appealing, so that you do use it. And I love that you've encroached that into personal. I think that's pretty wicked. Let's talk tools and software. Like, we've already geeked out on Monday.com. Like, in terms of the tools that you just definitely couldn't live without, like what would they be?
Yeah, Monday is a given, and the other one is Miro. So all those visual depictions I mentioned of your strategic systems, I leverage Miro for that. Mural is another similar tool. So Mural or Miro is fine. But I probably use Miro and Monday like half of my days every day that I'm working.
Yeah.
So it's basically, think of it as a digital whiteboard. But there's a lot of really great built-in templates and tools and things that you can use for running meetings and for brainstorming and developing systems, and really anything that you would pick up your dry erase marker for and use on a whiteboard, you can do in Miro.
I love that. I might have to go check that one out, because I haven't heard of that at all. And I'm always actually, I've got a whiteboard in front of me. I've got pens all around me. So to make that digital so I don't have to do the same thing twice would be super helpful. Now, I know you have a challenge that you also run to help people navigate their way through the craziness that is systems before you get started. Tell me a little bit about that and why you put that together for your clients or the world. Actually, it's a free challenge, right? That people can go and just jump on and download and get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the 10-10-10 challenge, and it's looking at the top 10 areas of waste in a coaching, consulting, or online service-based business that I see really commonly that costs them a lot of wasted time and a lot of wasted money and energy in their business. And the solution to most of those areas of waste is some variation of strategy, planning, systems, and team. And so in the challenge, I really just help you understand, where do you have those areas of waste? Where are you, leaving money on the table? Where is there more profit margin in your business that you're not fully taking advantage of? And I give some strategies for how to get started with systems in each of those areas to go ahead and actually get that time and money back in your business.
I love that. I might even put myself through that challenge, Crista, just to see if I can simplify this anymore. Frictionless life is what I'm aiming for in 2023. So I am going to take as much action as possible to simplify that. Now, where can people find you and this challenge and learn more about simplifying their life with systems?
Absolutely. You can find me at leanoutmethod.com, and the challenge is leanoutmethod.com/challenge.
Amazing. You even made that simple. Like, I love it. I love it. Crista, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think there's a lot of golden nuggets that we've delved into there. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. And I can't wait to jump into your challenge.